All right there, everyone. The rise of a post-Google age and what it means for internet freedom. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me encourage you to smack that bell and subscribe button. It's going to be a privilege to have you as part of this channel. Also, let me invite you to click on our Patreon and PayPal links to help support us as we analyze current events in light of conservative trends so that you can personally and professionally flourish. So I am sure that you are all familiar with the great purge going on with the big tech social media outlets. We've seen nothing less than what amounts to a real epidemic of internet censorship, unfortunately. The latest, of course, is Twitter's permanent ban of Alex Jones and InfoWars for what they call abusive behavior. And this, of course, was in response to Alex Jones' recent trip to Washington, D.C., where he confronted politicians and media reps and big tech executives who've accused him of being hateful and bigoted and xenophobic and the like. However, according to the recent book by economist and entrepreneur George Gilder, all of this, in fact, may be too little too late. All of these attempts by big tech globalist corporations to silence nationalist, populist, and traditionalist voices will soon become irrelevant. And that is because, according to Gilder, we are entering in what he calls a post-Google age, an internet age, where tech giants will simply no longer be able to control and manipulate information. So who is this George Gilder, and what on earth is a post-Google age? Well, if you're not familiar with him, George Gilder is an extraordinarily prolific scholar and author. He's an economist, an analyst of future trends. He was actually, as I understand it, he was the most off-cited economist by our former president, Ronald Reagan. In fact, in the early 80s, Gilder predicted the economic boom that would eventually occur through Reagan's tax cuts and deregulation of the economy. He's an extraordinary mind, incredibly prescient, incredibly far-thinking, often ahead of his time. And he has a new book out called Life After Google, the Fall of Big Data and the Rise of the Blockchain Economy. It's a fascinating read, and I'll provide a link down below if you'd like to get it. The basic thesis of the book is that Google's business model is fundamentally flawed, and it's just simply not going to be able to compete in the midst of the rise of what's called a blockchain economy. The business model he refers to here is what's called the aggregate and advertise model. It's the reason why Google gives everything away for free. You know, it's email, it's internet searches, it's YouTube entertainment, Google calendars and the like. The reason why it gives everything away for free is twofold. First, so they can amass quite literally a significant portion of the world's population as its users. But then, secondly, it takes the information that it has on these users in terms of tracking how they use the internet, their demographic information alike. It takes that profiled, detailed information and then turns around and it sells it to advertisers. That's Google's business model. It's aggregate and advertise. And what this means is that you and I, as users of Google services, you and I are not Google's customers. We are its products. We are the ones who are for sale, our data, that is, our profiles. That's how Google operates, and Facebook and Twitter. That's how they all operate from a business model perspective. That's why Google via YouTube can drop someone like Alex Jones. They'll drop him like a hat because both he and his million-member audience, they are not customers. They are the product. Google owns all the information on Alex Jones and his subscribers, and if they want to, they can delete it all. They can simply, with a snap of the fingers, Thanos-like for you Marvel movie fans. Now, what Gilder argues here is that while all of this is going on, there is brewing under the surface an absolutely massive information revolution that promises to change the entire architecture of the internet. And the revolution that's going on right now as we speak is one where the information that's currently controlled only by a centralized corporatist elite like the Google Corporation, that control is in effect being dispersed and now shared among the billions and billions of internet users. Information is moving from vertical control, where it's amassed and stored and indeed controlled by a small group of people, and it's being unleashed, as it were, and dispersed among virtually all internet users. That's the key revolution that's going on as we speak. And this revolution is taking place primarily through the rise of what's called the cryptocosm, which operates by cryptography and through the use of blockchain technology. Now, if you're not familiar with what's called blockchain technology, Gilder walks you through it in a couple of his chapters here in the book. But when all is said and done, blockchain technology promises to provide an alternative trust and verification system to those provided today by institutions and corporations. Again, we're already seeing the rise of things. I'm sure you've heard of cryptocurrencies, right, made famous by Bitcoin. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are probably the most popular forms of blockchain technology that we know of today. But the technology that such cryptocurrency is based on, it goes way beyond cryptocurrency. It works something like this. You start with a database with some kind of information that you want secured. It could be a financial transaction of some kind, whatever it is. And what happens is that database is then uploaded and managed by a global network of thousands of different computers. So if you wanted to send some money to your child in college, for example, you create a transaction with specific information connected to it within this network of the various thousands of computers. And these computers then record that transaction and they verify that no other transaction like it has been done before, in which case that transaction is time-stamped so as to never be able to be duplicated again. This is what's called a block. A block is a transactional record that becomes immutable, unchangeable, that is forever sealed in the history of your transactions. No one could delete it, no one could duplicate it, no one can steal it, whatever. Identity verification is intrinsic to the mass computer network. It's a permanently enshrined transaction that required no bank, no corporation, no middleman whatsoever apart from this multi-computer network. There's no central server. There's no central authority, right? All the information involved in the transaction is distributed among the multi-computer network. It cannot be changed once entered and verified by the network. There's no one person apart from the one making the transaction that can take any action whatsoever. There has to be unanimous agreement among the various computers in the network. So there's both a trust and verification system that's been created that no longer requires a centralized institution or organization to provide such trust and verification. That's the basic theory behind blockchain technology. And it can be used for quite literally anything, including social media. In fact, social media platforms are probably the first industry that will be majorly affected by the rise of a blockchain economy. What's being predicted here is that social media platforms will eventually be decentralized from any one particular company, such as like Facebook or Twitter, because what a blockchain economy effectively does is it transfers ownership of all of your social media data from the big tech companies to the user. That's the key difference. YouTube and Facebook and Twitter will no longer be able to control or own your personal data, your friends, your subscribers, your followers. You now own all of that. If you want to leave a social media platform, you get to take all of your network connections with you. You just reestablish the networks on a new blockchain. So if he was on a blockchain network, Alex Jones could take all 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube with him. YouTube no longer controls them. That's the magic of the blockchain. It removes any and all data associated with a person from centralized control to personal control. You now own all of your own data and no one else can intervene. And of course, now with blockchain technology, users of social networks will have the option of choosing the platforms on which to establish a network. In short, blockchain allows you to establish your own interconnected network on your own terms with no centralized authority ever being able to threaten to ban you again. So it's a bit abstract at this point, since we simply don't yet see this kind of internet architecture as of yet, at least in terms of its widespread use. But what Gilder argues is quite persuasively is that it's coming. And the big tech companies know it. They know it. They know that their days of controlling data are coming to an end. And according to Gilder, they don't actually quite know what to do about it. It's going to completely change their business model, and as a result, completely overturn their monopoly over information technology. I'll provide a link below for you to purchase your own copy of the book. I think it'll give you a tremendous boost of hope in the midst of all of this internet censorship, knowing that the days of big tech's monopoly over information technologies is indeed coming to an end. Don't forget to click on the link below. You can get my copy of my book, Classical versus Modern Education, for only 99 cents for a limited time. I think this is actually the last week it'll be up there. And make sure, as always, to click to subscribe and click on our Patreon link and our PayPal link below and become a supporter of this channel and help us to continue to analyze current events in light of conservative trends so that you can personally and professionally flourish. God bless.